Hey everybody, welcome back to another live seminar. This is Dakota Daulby. Thank you for being here with me. Just a little housekeeping off the top. Again, if you haven't done it, make sure to like our page and hit subscribe. We can also do something called ring the bell, so it gives you a notification every time we put out a new video. We're doing them every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday across the board for all our programs. For acting, up next is Rogi Yu. He's coming in next week to do a seminar with you guys. It's gonna be the same time slot as I'm doing right now. So that's gonna be on April 28th at 4 p.m. start time. So make sure you're here for that. It's gonna be a great class. I know he's super excited. Again, so thank you very much for being here. We're gonna go over a bunch of self-tapes. I got a whole bunch in over the weekend. It was so much fun looking through them. I really enjoyed it. And I just wanna emphasize, you guys all did an amazing job. You guys put a lot of work in, and it was super cool, again, to see your different perspectives of the characters. So just a note off the top. So please pay attention to each other's work. The things that we're gonna talk about here are key topics again. So these are things that I noticed in a lot, if not everyone's self-tape, but I'm just picking them out as I go, just ideas that came to me. So please pay attention because it may apply to you as well. Respect each other's work. Everyone put in a lot of work. They're all unique performances, so let's respect and be very polite to everyone's work. We're gonna discuss key topics. Like I said, I'm gonna be highlighting areas that we improved on. There's a lot of areas of improvement too, so that was really cool, really awesome to see. Please make notes if you can. It's always a good idea, and maybe something will register with you when you read it later, so please do that. And we're gonna do, again, a question period after each tape. Hopefully I don't forget this time. So I'll remember, and we'll start that off right at the top. Now, as I was driving over here, I was thinking about auditioning. You know, it's a hard thing. It really is, and I've been auditioning for 10 years. Like I started off when I was 14, 15 years old. So it's not easy no matter how old you get. And I was thinking about, feedback too, right? Because I get feedback on my auditions just like you guys do. And I do think it's very natural sometimes when we get feedback that we don't agree with, or that somehow, in your perspective, comes out of left field and, just like, where was that from? There's an emotional reaction that often can come with that. Whether it be anger, whether it be sadness, whether it be disappointment, it's natural, right? And I get that too, a lot. So I want you to consider this. When we're giving feedback about auditions, I want you to read the feedback. If you have an emotional reaction to it, that's fine. It's totally valid, it's your opinion, no problem. So, go through the process of feeling that emotional reaction, live in it. If it takes a couple hours, if it takes a day, fine, take your time that you need. Then come back to the feedback and really look through it from an objective standpoint and see if the stuff that's talked about is actually something that you can improve on. If you're looking at it without an emotional lens, if it's something that's truly helpful to you, I want you to take that. Now, I was thinking of an example for me. I was auditioning for Riverdale. So there was an audition that went out and I didn't get called for it. I felt that I was right for it, but they didn't want to see me. So I thought to be like, well, let me audition at least, let me self-tape myself. You don't want to see me in the room, fine, but let me put myself on tape and let me have a chance at this, right? They said, yeah, okay. And this happened in the morning, and then around 9 o'clock they said, yeah, you can audition, and we need the tape by 11 a.m. So I had like 2 hours to memorize it, and it was maybe 6 pages, and it's a big role. It was like a recurring guest star role in this show that I felt I was right for. So I got the material, I went to my place, I prepped it, I put it on tape, I sent it in, I was really happy with it. It came back and I got terrible feedback on it. They said it was terrible. They said they didn't like it. They said I had a weird accent and all these things that I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? I'm born in Canada. Like, I don't have an accent. I'm not German. They thought I had some weird German accent. So that threw me for a loop. I was like, what are you guys talking about? You're nuts, right? And it kind of made me have this emotional reaction to them. Like, no, they just don't like me. Like, it's them having a biased towards me, which, I think is normal for us to have that reaction because we put so much heart and energy into our work. But, after I sat back and I let myself go through that, and then I came back to the notes and I reread them and I talked about them with people that I respect and teachers, and I think I talked to Phil about it, and some of the points they had were valid. For sure they were valid, and things that I need to improve on. So instead of writing it all off because it hurt my ego and it sucked to hear, I think it's important to look back at that and say, well, what in this is valid for me to become better? Because that's the goal, is to become better as an actor. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm putting time into writing individual notes, because I want you guys to be better as performers. That's why Amir is behind the desk, walking to work every day during this crisis. That's why Anna Fleming is organizing the courses. That's why John and Shari are putting all this money into creating this online platform, because we want you guys, no matter it be through acting, makeup, spa, any one of our courses, is to continue in doing what you love, also become better. So I want you to think about the notes that I give not as me being harsh, because I'm not. I love you guys and I love your performances. That's why I put the time in to write you detailed notes. I want you guys to be better performers, because that's the goal. Someone that says, good job, that was great, that doesn't help you. That doesn't help me. That doesn't make us better actors. It just makes you do the same thing over and over. It doesn't give you a jarring reaction to something that makes you think a different way. That's my goal, is to make you guys think about something differently, whether you agree or disagree, and that's fine, right? But at least look at it objectively and take what's valuable, and if the other stuff isn't, that's not a big deal. That's just, it's part of learning and growing as an artist. So please, let's look at this and have fun, and I'm excited to show you guys all the tapes that people sent in. They're great performances, and there's a lot of great stuff. But what I'm focusing on are elements that we can improve on, because if you're great at something, there's no point in me telling you're great, because you're already good at it. Let's focus on the stuff that you can get better at. So we're going to dive into these tapes now. Again, like last time, we're going to go through one at a time. I'm going to do a brief question period after each tape. Then at the end, once we've gone through all the tapes, I'm going to show you guys 2 examples of auditions that I've done. I didn't book either one of these jobs, so these are kind of like learning lessons that I'm going to show you. But then we're also just going to have a bit of a discussion period too, because there's a couple of topics that I really want to hit on. The main thing, just so you know, that we're going to discuss here is stakes. I think it's a really important thing. It's something that I'm still learning, and every actor, I think, still learns as they get older and they grow in their profession, and something that all of you can learn from, because it's something that we can all go further with in our work. So keep that in mind as we go through these performances. So the first one up, we're going to jump into Tristan Manning's tape. So Tristan, we're excited to watch it. Amir, if you could pull it up, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Okay, so the sound issue's fixed. We're going to go back and start over. Don't worry, Tristan. We're going to see it. Don't worry, man. You're like, go back, go back.
Do you want to come in?
Sure.
Sit down. Want a drink?
You got soda?
What were you like when you were younger?
Oh, not that much different.
I believe that about you. I've been thinking about you a lot. It's crazy. In my car, lying in bed. I just never gone out with someone like you. I mean, with all the other men, there was so much to hide. I feel like I can't tell you anything.
Susan? Susan, there's something I think I should tell you.
What? You want the light on? Josh! What's wrong? What is it?
I haven't told you something. I didn't think you were going to believe me if I did. Or even if I did tell you and you believe me, I didn't think you were going to like me anymore, so.
Oh, honey. Come here. You can tell me anything. What?
Susan, I'm not what you think I am.
What do you mean?
Before I met you, I was in Little League. I was in Little League. And I rode my bike to school, and I played with my friends, and I hung out with them.
Josh, what are you talking about?
I want to go home. I miss my family, Susan. I want to go home.
Oh my God, you're married.
No.
I knew this was too good to be true.
No,
I knew there had
I'm
to
not
be
married.
something.
Susan, I'm not married.
You're not?
No. I'm a kid.
What?
I'm a child, Susan. I'm just not ready for all this.
Oh, that's fine. That's just great.
See, what happened was...
No, I understand. I'm not ready to make a commitment.
Oh, no. No.
I'm not ready to accept responsibility either.
You don't understand. I mean, I'm 13 years old.
Oh, and who isn't? You think that there isn't a pregnant kid inside me too?
No, I mean, I really am 13. I went to bed. See, I went to bed one night, and I was a kid. And when I woke up the next morning, I was a grown-up.
All right. And just yesterday, I was a schoolgirl with pigtails. Why are you doing this, Josh?
There was this carnival in New Jersey.
Please.
I made a wish on a machine. It was called the Zoltan machine.
Oh, stop it.
It was called the Zoltan machine. It had a head and a body like a devil. And you had to put a quarter in the devil's mouth. And you made a wish. And I did. I made a wish to be big. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I changed into a grown-up. But I'm really just a kid.
Fine, Josh. You're a kid. Look, I really don't know what it is you're trying to tell me. But we have a very big presentation to get through tomorrow. So I'm gonna get some sleep.
Hello, my name is Tristan Manning. I am represented by Chan International Model and Talent Management in Edmonton and Ignite Talent in Vancouver. I am 5 feet 10 inches, and today I'll be reading for the role of Josh.
In your career. Sure. Just stop that from the top. Hi, everybody. So, great job, Tristan. That was really cool to watch. So you made some really awesome choices. So bravo there. Okay. So what I want to talk about with you is what I'm going to call is trusting the material. So for me, what that means is you don't need to play something that's inherent in the material. So you're yourself, Tristan. You're hilarious. You have a natural comedic element to you. Like I think that becomes very easy to you. You obviously have a love for comedy, and just from knowing you personally, you're very comedic in your life, right? So you have that inherently in your acting, which is awesome. Now let's think about this material. So it's inherently funny, meaning the premise itself is a funny one. Like it's a kid that becomes a grown-up, and in this scene, he's with this woman that loves him, that's trying to have sex with him, and he's never experienced it, right? So the situation already is funny. And in fact, you're not the comedic element. Like the Josh character is not the comedic element in the scene. It's the Susan character that's the funny one, right? Because she doesn't know that he's 13. So it becomes funnier, and your comedic beats will land better if you play against it, if you don't try to lean in to the comedic element. If you try to be the 13-year-old boy that's trying to be an adult rather than an adult trying to be a 13-year-old boy. If you look at it the opposite way, because the viewer knows that he's 13. If I'm casting this or if I'm watching this movie, because I've watched the movie or I know the script, I know the story. It's not a surprise to me. Everyone's on the same page. So you don't need to play the 13-year-old kid, which is something that we'll call a trap of the scene. And you'll find them in scenes, which is, it's the thing that if you're not careful, you'll fall into, and then it becomes an adult playing a 13-year-old, which isn't right. It should be, a 13-year-old trying to be an adult and trying his best to be professional and trying his best to, keep his cool while this girl tries to hit on him and tries to have sex with him, and he's like freaking out because he's seen this in movies and he's heard 12th graders talk about this and he's not ready for it, right? So that's the thing there. I want you to trust that you're funny already. You're just inherently good at that. So you don't need to play over top of it, because then it becomes too much for the scene. So let me know if, you said, that makes sense. So you and I talked about this earlier today. So Tristan didn't see the scene as funny. He knew the lady was the comedic element, but assumed I need it too for the self-tape. Yeah, so that's interesting. So I talked about this a lot in you guys' notes, or at least a few of you, is trying to look at the scene from the outside perspective, right? So going back to the scene that we did last time, that scene was very dramatic, right? So if I'm a person casting the scene, if I'm the person watching the scene, whether a viewer, whether casting director, casting assistant, I'm pretty familiar with the material. I would hope so anyways, right? So they know that the scene in that last case is inherently sad. It inherently has drama in it. This one inherently has comedy. So when we play into that, it becomes too much. So I hope that makes sense. Like if you play the opposite, it actually makes it funnier in a weird way. It's the irony of the situation. And Tristan brought up a good note too, is he didn't view this scene as a comedy. Which is fine. That's your prerogative as an artist, right? You have your decisions, and that's what's cool about art, is that we have our own choices that we make, and we stand by them. But the thing is, what's cool and what's also frustrating about being an artist is that there's somebody on the other end that's taking it in that says yes or no, and that person is usually acting, you'd hope so, in the best interest of the project, of the material. So our job, first and foremost, as actors, is to service the material. We're being hired to play a role for a certain reason, because the scene requires that element. So you want to have, it's kind of a mixture. You want to have interesting and unique choices, but you want to make sure they service the scene. Because if you have a really unique choice that doesn't play with what is being required in the scene, it doesn't matter how interesting it is it's wrong. It doesn't move the story forward. So I would encourage you, when possible, to think of, if I'm auditioning for a comedy, or if this is a comedy, which it is, like it's a comedy family it's a mixtured comedy family kind of romance type of movie. You don't want to look at it as a drama, right? You don't want to play against it. But that's again not to say that you play into the comedy. You don't want to play the comedic element because it overdoes it, right? Tristan, do you have any questions about that? You and I spoke a little bit beforehand, so maybe I've answered those questions. But if anybody else has a question regarding that, now's the time. Exactly, Tristan. So Tristan says, I also forgot that even though it's a comedy, this particular scene is not a comedic moment. It's a dramatic moment. Because it's so dramatic, it makes it funny. Because the given circumstances are funny. So if you play the drama of this scene, it becomes more funny. I know that's terrible English, but it's true. Yeah, you're dead on with that, right? So that's a very good analysis, and hopefully that helps you as you go forward. And again, like I said, you have comedy in spades, so you don't need to push it, right? It's inherently in your work, so just trust that you have that within you. And a lot of us have those different elements that we're inherently good, like a type of acting that we're inherently comfortable with and we're good at. So sometimes we just have to learn to trust that it's in us. We don't need to push it. We're going to move on to the next tape.
Do you want to come in?
Sure.
Sit down. Want a drink?
You got soda?
What were you like when you were younger?
Oh, well, I wasn't much different.
I believe that about you. I've been thinking about you a lot. It's crazy. In my car, lying in bed. I've just never gone out with someone like you. I mean, with all the other men, there was so much to hide. I feel like I can tell you anything.
Susan, there's something I think I should tell you.
What? You want the lights on? Josh, what's wrong? What is it?
I haven't told you something because I didn't think you were going to believe me. And even if you did believe me, I didn't think you were going to like me anymore, so...
Oh, honey. Come here. You can tell me anything. What?
Susan, I'm not what you think I am.
What do you mean?
Well, before I met you, I was in Little League. I was in Little League, and I rode my bike with my friends, and I hung out with them, and,
Josh, what are you talking about?
I want to go home. I miss my family, Susan. I want to go home.
Oh my god. You're married.
No.
I knew this was too good to be true.
No, I'm not married,
I knew that
Susan.
there
I'm
had to be
not.
something.
I'm not married.
You're not?
No, I'm a child.
What?
I'm a child, Susan. And I am not ready for any of this.
Oh, that's just fine. That's just great.
Well, see, what happened was...
No, I understand. I'm not ready to make a commitment.
Oh, no.
No, I'm not ready to accept the responsibility either.
No, Susan, you don't understand. I'm 13 years old.
Oh, and who isn't? You think that there isn't a frightened kid inside me too?
No, I mean, I'm really 13. I went to bed one night as a kid, and when I woke up, I was grown up.
Alright, and just yesterday I was a schoolgirl with pigtails. What are you doing this, Josh?
There was this machine in New Jersey.
Please.
It was at the carnival. This machine called the Zoltan machine.
Oh, stop it.
It was called the Zoltan machine, and it had this body and head, and it looked like the devil, and you put a quarter in the devil's mouth, and you made a wish, and I did, and I wished I was big. And so, that's what I'm trying to say is I changed into a grown-up, but I'm really just a kid.
Fine, Josh. You're a kid. Look, I really don't know what it is you're trying to tell me, but we have a very big presentation to get there tomorrow, so I'm gonna get some sleep.
Jackie Zane. I'm 5'7", and I'm self-represented.
Jackie, awesome, man. Thank you very much for sending your tape in. Amir, it's the... Yeah. Thank you very much for sending the tape in. Did a great job. So, you made some really interesting choices, but I think the thing that you were lacking there, and the question I'm going to pose to all of you, whether you're reading for the male role or the female role, is let's invest more into the why. So what I mean by that, Jackie, is why are you so nervous to tell her the truth? Why? Why do you care so much that she knows the truth and her opinion of the truth? Why do you care that she likes you? So why? Why? I want you to look into and invest and answer these questions, because the why really means the stakes of the situation. If this wasn't someone that you mattered so much to you, if it wasn't the girl you've always dreamed of in your 13-year-old mind, it wasn't the love of your life, then why does it all matter? Why have this conversation? Why tell her the truth? Why not just go back and be a boy and go live your life? So the why is something that we all can work on. Making that why matters so much to the character that we have a physical reaction to telling them. There's so much to lose by telling the truth in this scene that she may walk out and you may never see this lady that you've learned to love ever again. That it's life ruining, right? So I want you to really invest in that why, because no one wants to watch acting with mediocre stakes. It really isn't interesting. I think that I've been learning, and something that's been interesting for me by watching all your tapes is, I'm naturally drawn to the auditions and to the performances that have the highest stakes, because suddenly, it's all mediocre stakes, mediocre stakes, mediocre stakes, suddenly high stakes, and like, oh wow, this person has something to lose. This person is fighting for something and wants it. And that doesn't mean being loud or being aggressive. There's different ways of approaching things and approaching stakes, but they really, really want it. They really, really want to, explain the truth to her, but keep the girl that they love, right? They really want her not to hate, to hate you, right? And from the female side, she really wants to find a man that loves her and appreciates her, because she's had a dozen of them and they're all been assholes. And this is the man of her dreams. And suddenly he's telling her that he's maybe married, and like, oh God, what did I do? Like I went on this date, I fell in love with this guy, and I told my mom about this guy, and this guy is married. And it matters. It affects them. Those are the auditions that are interesting to watch, because it's like it sparks an emotional reaction in the viewer. If it only matters a little bit, then who cares? Who cares about the scene? Who cares about the characters? It doesn't matter. So invest in the why. Make the stakes the why. I know I'm using different terms, but it's the same thing. High mean a lot. An analogy that I was thinking about yesterday is, we have all these heist movies, right? Why is it always that the heist movie, it's always about the last job? Well, it's because the last job has the most stakes. Who cares about watching a heist movie where they have 2 last jobs? Because if they don't finish the last job, then they have 1 more to go. Like, there's no stakes to it. We're always interested in the thing that has the most stakes inherently as storytellers. That's why in all the Marvel movies, it's always the end of the world, because you have this world of characters where they can kill a person in a blink of an eye. It becomes no big deal. There's no stakes to that because there's so much power in that world. So what's the thing with the most stakes? Well, the most stakes is when the Earth ends, or now I guess in the Avengers, when the universe ends. They have to keep raising the stakes, because as an audience we're becoming numb to these mundane stakes in life, to the human elements, because it's we're so used to the superheroes. So think of that when it comes to our auditions. A viewer sitting there watching a bunch of people with mediocre stakes, be the one that has the big stakes, that has stuff to lose, because then you're actually fighting for something. You know, it's interesting. At the very least, it's going to spark a reaction and then it gets them paying attention, right? And like I said before on our Zoom, it's far easier as a director to pull someone back and go, okay, that was awesome. You were really going for it. That was like way to really invest. Now, just, not that much though. Just keep more of that inside, or just don't go that far. That's far easier than saying you need to go further. And that's a really hard thing to do, because then you may not have the capacity to go there because you've never thought of it. If you've gone all the way to the end, you can pull back a little bit. It's fine. So go to the end on either spectrum. Whether it be on this side of the character where he's afraid that he's going to lose the love of his life, right? Or on another idea, whatever that may be, right? But just choose one that's extreme. Jackie, when it comes to your audition, so a big issue for me in that one was the framing, because I didn't get to experience what was going on with you and the relationship with the other character because I couldn't see your eyes. You chose to frame it in a way where you were so big in the frame, I didn't get to experience any of this, and I want to see this. That's what is important. It doesn't really matter about the physicality in an audition so much because you're in your living room, right? You're not in a set. So I'm worried about, and I'm interested in what's going on in the eyes. So frame the audition tighter so I can see more of that, because I missed a lot of the great acting you were doing because I couldn't see it. I literally couldn't see your eyes. And also, at the beginning of your audition, you played a lot of your moments to the ground. You're playing acting beats down there. Again, same issue is we don't get to see your eyes. So have those moments to yourself. Those are great, but play them up here, or play them over there, or play them, even better yet, play them right there, right close to the lens. So I get to experience it, then place your reader over there, right? So it's all in view of the camera. You had your reader over here, and so I'm missing a lot of what's going on. So place your reader closer to the lens so we see them, so they're kind of right past the lens, and place all your beats around the lens. Just find places to play those moments, and that's a note for everybody, because we want to see the great acting that we're doing in the eyes. It's all about the eyes. Okay, any questions about that? And don't ask me questions about like Marvel movies, and I don't know anything about them. I don't want. I just know the stakes are heavy. And we're going to be talking about stakes all day, the whole session. So any questions about that, ask away. And if not, if one comes up when we're playing the next tape, I can jump back to that. Just to explain again, like I was talking to my friends last night about your auditions, and we were writing, and I was chatting about what I'm learning from you guys, and we talked about the stakes. And he was a lead of a TV show for 3 years, and even he was saying, he's like, man, I still have a hard time with stakes. Like I still don't get it. So it's a thing that we're all dealing with, and it's something that we're all going to keep learning, and I'm included in that. I'm still learning, and a lot of the stuff that I'm harping you guys on, I tell you that, but then it's hard to apply it. So I get it. I get it's difficult. It's a difficult thing to do, but we always want to keep trying to push the boundaries. So at least you can try to discover it, right? And this is a great environment to do that because there's nothing to lose here. It's all supportive. So Jackie has a question. How tight would you recommend? So I would just go like this, Jackie. So kind of go chest bone all the way just above your head. Your head was a little cut off, so you were too close to the camera. So again, I want to make sure your head's in the frame. Yeah, exactly what Sydney said, like a medium close-up. Standing or getting up during an audition. Hey, Rodrigo. Yeah, that's totally fine. You can do both. Just make sure you have your reader follow you with the camera. So if you have a tripod, you can just tilt the tripod. I think, Jackie, you may have been on Skype, so that would be a little difficult. So you have to be a little creative with that. But you can totally do that for sure. And this brings up a thought too about Nicolas's tape. I think you want to find the right physicality for the character too. Nicolas, you were like kind of sitting down and leaning forward throughout your whole tape, so I didn't feel an urgency in your body. So you want to remember that those things reflect on the character too. If you're sitting like this and it's an intense scene, why are you so relaxed? Like, why are you so physically relaxed? It doesn't make sense for this scene. So keep that in mind. And Jackie, as well, your costume that you chose which is a costume. You know, I don't think you meant to be a costume, but that is a costume because I'm watching an audition and the character is wrong for the character because he's on an audition. I mean, sorry, he's on a date. You know, he's with this girl that he likes. I don't think he would wear a sweatshirt and shorts. You know, you may have a different opinion about that, but I'll bet you 9 times out of 10 you would wear something different. So I think you could be a little more creative about how you chose to dress the character because it does react and it does make me react to your audition, right? It's the way I look at that is either a choice was not made, which is the same as making, or which is, I mean, I guess worse than not making a choice, right? So always make a choice about how this person dresses because it does inform character for sure. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next audition.
Do you want to come in?
Sure.
Sit down. Want a drink?
You got soda?
What were you like when you were younger?
Well, I wasn't much different.
I believe that about you. I've been thinking about you a lot. It's crazy. In my car, lying in bed, I've just never gone out with someone like you. I mean, with all the other men, there was just so much to hide. I feel like I can tell you anything.
Susan, there's something I think I should tell you.
What? You want the light on? Josh, what's wrong? What is it?
I didn't think that you would believe me. That's why I'm not telling you, and even if you did believe me, I didn't think you were gonna like me anymore, so...
Oh, honey, come here. You can tell me anything. What?
Susan, I'm not what you think I am.
What do you mean?
Before I met you, I was in Little League. I was in Little League, and I rode my bike to school, and I played with my friends, and I hung out with them, and
Josh, what are you talking about?
I want to go home. I miss my family, Susan. I want to go home.
Oh my god. You're married.
No.
I knew this was too good to be true.
No,
I knew that it
I'm
hurt.
not married. Susan, I'm not married.
You're not?
No. I'm a child.
What?
I'm a child, Susan. And I'm just not ready for any of this.
Oh, fine. That's just great.
Well, you see what happened was,
No, I understand. I'm not ready for a commitment.
oh, no.
I don't want responsibility either.
No, that's not it. You don't understand. Susan, I'm 13 years old.
Oh, and who isn't?
Ah,
There isn't a freaking man inside me too?
no, Susan, really, I am 13. I went to bed. I went to bed one night, and then I was a kid, and I woke up the next morning, and I was a grown-up.
Oh, right. And just yesterday, I was a schoolgirl with pigtails. Why are you doing this, Josh?
There was this carnival in New Jersey, and there was, I made a wish on a machine. It was called the Zoltan machine.
Oh, stop it.
It was called the Zoltan machine, and it had a body, and it had a head, and it looked like a devil, and you put a quarter into the devil's mouth, and you make a wish. So I did. And I wished to be big. And that's what I'm trying to tell you, Susan, is that I turned into a grown-up. But I'm really just a kid.
Fine, Josh. You're a kid. Look, I don't know what you're trying to tell me right now, but we have a very big presentation to get through tomorrow. So I'm gonna get some sleep.
Hi, my name's Jesse Peachment. I'm 6'3", and I'm represented by Brandy England with Ignite Artists.
Jesse, awesome. I honestly, I was really impressed with the work that you did. I thought you took the notes that we had talked about the last couple classes and you really applied them. So I was really impressed with your work. So honestly, great job. I was laughing when I was watching ours because I could hear the people moving furniture upstairs and I was like, oh, that's the worst. I've been in that place where it's like people are just moving a desk upstairs and you're just like trying to stay in the scene. So you did an awesome job staying into it. So, good job and way to get it in. But it made me laugh for sure. I just want to touch on Jackie. I saw that you made a comment here. You said that the costume was actually a choice, or the stuff that you wore was a choice. Okay, that's cool, I guess. I wouldn't maybe choose then something with such a big logo on the front because it is distracting, and I just think you could be a little more creative with what he decides to wear, right? Whether if you want to dress him down, but then be creative and what is his, if he's an adult suddenly, like what does he think is cool? Like I think there's a way to be a little more creative with that because from my perspective, it didn't look like a choice. And so, but also make sure to choose costume pieces that don't have big logos and stuff on them, just because it is distracting. So as a general note, just make sure we choose things like that. Okay, so again, Jesse, you did an awesome job. I was really impressed with your work. Thing that I want to talk about in general and with you, at the very beginning of your audition, you had a moment when she invites you in, and to me, it read almost like you were excited to go in, like kind of like almost read sexual to me. When she first invites you in, you have kind of like a grin going on your face, which is interesting, and it's a choice you made. I'm thankful and happy you were making choices, but I think we have to make sure we make choices that are authentic to the scenes, because I don't think that choice that you made is authentic, knowing the situation, that he's a 13-year-old boy and that he's probably aware that what they're stepping into. I mean, you can then create things like, the moment before, maybe you guys are coming up in the elevator and she's a little tipsy and she's been like leaning on you or touching your arm or doing things that have made you physically uncomfortable already before we walk into the scene, right? So when she invites you in, you probably want to say no, but you're 13 and you don't know how to say no because you've never done that before, right? So the way that the choice read to me, like I said, was the opposite of that, which is a choice, and that's great, but I think it's opposite to what the scene calls for. So you want to make sure when we're making those unique choices that they service the scene. So that's my big note for you, and for everybody, is just finding choices that service the scene, and it's great, and keep thinking of different unique choices. But then when you're going through and you're playing with them and you're rehearsing them, just keep reminding yourself and keep thinking of, is this telling the story better? Is this helping the story? Is this telling us something about the given circumstances of the character? Because the given circumstances are that he's uncomfortable and nervous in this relationship because he is 13 and she's an adult woman wanting to sleep with him, right? So I love that you made the choice. I just think you just want to focus and make sure that it's hitting the given circumstances. So does that make sense to you? If you have any questions about that, pop in the comment there. If anybody else has a question about that particular thing, go ahead. I can answer it right now. Okay, well, it's okay. We're going to move on to the next tape. Then when the question pops up, I can touch it. Yeah, no, I know you guys are a few seconds behind. It's fine. I can touch it once we get back from the next tape. So we'll move on to the next tape. It's going to be Franny.
Do you want to come in?
Sure.
Sit down. Want a drink?
You get a soda?
What were you like when you were younger?
Oh, well, I wasn't much of different.
I believe that about you, I've been thinking about you a lot. It's crazy. In my car, laying in my bed, I've just never gone out with someone like you. I mean, with all the other men, there was so much to hide. I feel like I can tell you anything.
Susan, I think there's something I should tell you.
What? You want the lights on, Josh? What's wrong? What is it?
I haven't told you something because I didn't think that you were gonna believe me. And even if you did believe me, I didn't think that you were gonna like me anymore, so.
Oh, honey, come here. You can tell me anything. What?
Susan, I'm not what you think I am.
What do you mean?
Before I met you, I used to be on a little league. I used to ride my bike to school, play with my friends, and hang out with them. And
Josh, what are you talking about?
I want to go home. I miss my family, Susan. I want to go home.
Oh my God, you're married.
No.
I knew this was too good to be true.
No, Susan.
I knew that
I'm
there
not
had to
married.
be something. You're not?
No, I'm a child.
What?
Susan, I'm a child, and I'm not ready for all of this.
That's fine. That is just great.
Oh, well, you see what happened.
No, I understand. I'm not ready to make a commitment.
Oh, no?
I'm not ready to accept the responsibility either.
No, you don't understand. I'm 13 years old.
And who isn't? You think that there isn't a frightened kid inside me too?
I really am 13. You see, when I was in bed, and I was a child, and the next morning that I woke up from bed, I was a grown-up.
Alright, and just yesterday I was a schoolgirl with pigtails. What are you doing this, Josh?
There was a carnival in New Jersey,
Please.
and there was this machine called the Sultan machine.
Stop it.
It was called the Sultan machine, and it had this big body and face, and it just looked like the devil's face. And I inserted a quarter inside of the devil's mouth, and I wished to be big. And that's all I wanted to tell you, that I'm a grown-up, but I'm still a child.
Fine, Josh. You're a kid. Look, I really don't know what it is you're trying to tell me, but we have a very big presentation to get through tomorrow, so I'm going to get some sleep.
Hello, my name is Chisom Akomas. I'm 18, 5'11", and I'm going to be playing.
Franny, so I want to give you a quick shout out here. So Franny hasn't started school with us. I believe, I don't know where you're actually living right now, but I think you're in art school, if I can remember correctly. So I just want to give you a big shout out and say, awesome job for being a part of this and putting yourself on tape and being really active in all the things that we're doing. It's really cool to see that you're here and you're trying and you're putting yourself out there. It's hard, I get it, and it's nerve-wracking because everyone here is going to school, but hopefully you're absorbing a lot of information and you're learning from this, and we can't wait for you to start. So a big shout out for you, and I'm really stoked that you're taking part in all this. So I want to give you an exercise to do, Franny, and it's going to be about listening. So I want you to practice this scene with a friend if you have anybody around. But I don't want you to say any of your dialogue. I want you to do the scene and be in the scene and be present as if you were saying the dialogue, but I just want you to listen to the other words the entire time. You are not allowed to respond in this exercise. So the idea for this, Franny, is to get you listening to the other person, to get you out of your own mind, because I think with your performance, I think you're nervous about the words and making sure that you get it right, which is fine and understandable, and we've all been there. But I want to get you out of your head, and I want you to get you presently in the scene where you're listening to the other character and you're being affected by what they're saying. So I want to encourage you to practice the same audition, just the words, just by listening though, and you're not allowed to say any of your character's dialogue, okay? So that's my kind of challenge for you. Now, just a thought for that too, is an exercise for people, everybody, we all can use. If we're not connecting to material, let's say for whatever reason the audition doesn't resonate with you, or you don't understand the character, whatever it may be, an exercise that I've done that's helpful is I try to relate myself to the character, right? So I try to find similarities in my life to what they're going through, and I try to recall those memories for myself. So I get myself in that place. And then I add on the different given circumstances that are in the story, that are in this fictional world, to my own reality that I have in my mind. And I try to use that for the character. So it's basically taking your own given circumstances and applying them to the character and in the scene. So it's a way to, I think, bridge if there is some sort of disconnect. You can use your own memories and your own emotional reactions to different things that you've gone through that is similar to what the character's gone through. Most of us have different things in life that we can relate to the scenes that we're auditioning with. Most of the scenes that we're doing are grounded in some sort of reality, and they're dealing with human moments, even if it's sci-fi or even if you are playing a character that's suddenly 13. This scene really, if you boil it down, is just about a boy liking a girl and a girl liking a boy, and him having a secret that might ruin that. Is really what you boils down to, right? If you take away the 13-year-old aspect. So, I think that is something that you can do, is just boil down the scenes to what the base premise is, and that can help you relate to them better, and then pile all that other stuff back on top. But I want to challenge you, Franny, to try that exercise to see if it helps you. But again, great work, and I'm so glad that you're taking part in all this and you're setting the tapes in. I'm really impressed with you. And that work ethic is going to serve you really well. Tristan, of course, you have a question, please go ahead and ask. Jesse, just from before, mentions the eagerness didn't work off the top. It just read different to me. So I think what we can do for that is just put a little more energy and understanding where exactly the character's coming from, so that beginning moment is super clear for you, and that it can carry you into the scene. And Franny, if you have any questions about what I just told you, feel free to pop a line in there and I'll get back to you. But we're going to jump on to Chisholm's tape next.
Hello, my name is Chisomakomas. I'm 18, 5'11", and I'm going to be playing Josh.
Do you want to come in?
Sure.
Sit down. Want a drink?
You got soda?
What were you like when you were younger?
Oh, well, I wasn't much different.
I believe that about you. I've been thinking about you a lot. It's crazy. In my car, lying in bed. I've just never gone out with someone like you. I mean, with all other men, there was so much to hide. I feel like I can tell you anything.
Susan, there's something I think I should tell you.
What? You want the light on? Josh, what's wrong? What is it?
Susan, I'm not what you think I am.
What do you mean?
Before I met you, I was in Little League. I was in Little League, and I rode my bike to school, and I hung out with my friends.
Josh? Josh, what are you talking about?
I want to go home. I miss my family, Susan. I want to go home.
Oh my God, you're married.
No.
I knew this was too good to be true.
No.
I knew that there had to
I'm
be
not
something.
married. Susan, I'm not married.
You're not?
No. I'm a child.
What?
I'm a child, Susan. And I'm not ready for all of this.
Well, that's fine. That's just great.
Well, you see what happened?
No, I understand. I'm not ready to make a commitment.
No.
I'm not ready to accept the responsibility either. But
No. You don't understand. I'm 13 years old.
oh, and who isn't? You think there isn't a frightened kid inside me too?
No. I mean, I'm really 13. I went to bed one night as a kid. And I woke up the next morning and I was a grown-up.
Oh, right. And just yesterday I was a schoolgirl with pigtails. Why are you doing this, Josh?
There was this carnival in New Jersey.
Please.
And there was this machine. It was called the Zoltan machine.
Oh, stop it.
It was called the Zoltan machine. And it had a body and a head that looked just like a devil. You put a quarter in its mouth and you make a wish. And I did. I wished to be big. And I changed into a grown-up. But really, I'm just a kid.
Fine, Josh. You're a kid. Look, I really don't know what it is you're trying to tell me, but we have a really big presentation to get through tomorrow, so I'm going to get some sleep.
Chisholm, thank you very much for sending a tape in. It was great to watch your work, and I'm glad I could finally see something you're doing. So good job at doing that, and thanks for putting the time in to do it. So what I want to talk about with you, Chisholm, is end moments. So now you had some great acting, some great natural vulnerability. It didn't feel pushed. It just felt inherently in your work, which was really great for the scene, and did a good job with that. But the end moment, you know, you chose to leave it a bit there where you stood out, like you kind of had a moment where you looked at it and you stopped and you looked at her again and you stood up and you walked out. So it kind of ended on you just like physically getting up and walking out. So I want to encourage you and encourage everybody to find the strongest beats to end our scenes on, because it's the last moment where someone gets to watch your performance who hopefully is going to hire you, you know? So the last moment you had there, Chisholm, isn't the strongest. It's just you, it's just your legs. Like I just see your legs, right? So find a moment in that tape, if you were, let's say if you were to do it again, where the last moment is a moment of decision, a moment of defeat or victory, of something going on internally rather than you just getting up and leaving, because it's not interesting. You know, it doesn't tell me anything about how the character's been affected in the scene or where he or she is going to go next. So I would encourage you to find that moment, but then also, I guess, to find that moment, you have to know literally where the character's going next. So make a very clear decision with the information that you got here. What does he do next? What is his plan? Is he going to go back to the carnival and he's going to, you know, flip the switch and he's going to go back to being a 13-year-old boy because being an adult he's decided is just too hard. You know, it's too much. You can't handle it. It's overwhelming. There's too much responsibility. There's disappointment. You know, it's letting people down. Is that his decision at the end? And if it is, I want to end on that moment. That's interesting, because that makes me think, oh shit, where is he going to go next? I want to watch this movie. I want to watch this actor. He draws me in. He carries me to the next scene. You know, seeing your legs, you're literally carrying me to the next scene because you're walking, but it doesn't, you know, it doesn't tell the story. So you want to find the moment that's the most interesting performance-wise to end on. So I would encourage you to focus on that, and also all of you guys when it comes to your auditions to focus on those moments. If you have a question about that, Chisholm, you can drop a line here. I just wanted to touch on what Franny said here. Yeah, it's something he says, so yeah, just what I have to continue working on is listening. And he said, I'm quite often in my head. Yeah, I mean, that's something that we all have to work on. I think more than just listening, Franny, it's about being present in the scene. Because I think you're right. I think you are in your head when you're doing your work. But again, I want to give you credit because you've never gone to school. You haven't trained, right? So that's extremely common. So part of your learning experience and growth as an actor is learning to get outside of your head and to be focusing on the person you're in the scene with, to be focusing on how they're being affected by what you're saying, and then vice versa, how you get affected by what they say. Rather than focusing on getting the words right or being how you look or how your shirt is. I'm not saying you did all those things, but that's often kind of how we can get in our heads. So yes, just with that exercise, the goal would be for you to not worry about the lines and just focus on what's being said. Now, Jackie has a question here. What are some methods that can be applied to raise stakes? Is it just about having a strong backstory, script analysis? Or are there physical inner energy aspects as well? Yeah, so something I was thinking about in terms of stakes that we could talk about with this scene in particular, especially for the Josh character, is having something called ticking clock. So an interesting stake that I was thinking about is, maybe I'm not saying this would be the, there's a difference between auditioning and the audition scene and the script. You have to do certain things and make certain choices to get you the role, because your audition is the most interesting when you're sending these tapes in, and maybe that stuff is not supported by the script, and I think that's fine, because you'll get the script and you'll read it and the analysis will change, right? Because you'll have the full material, and oftentimes we don't. So in the audition aspect here, let's say you just had the audition material for your tape, a stake that you could come up with is that perhaps, like every other fairy tale, because this is a fairy tale, maybe at the strike of midnight you turn back to a little boy, right? Or by midnight, if you don't go back to that arcade game and put the coin in, you stay a grown-up forever, and you lose your family. So automatically the stakes are higher. So you're stuck here, trying to make it right with this woman that you love, and you have to love her, because that, why not? Why not make it someone that you love? Why not raise the bar rather than someone I just like or I respect or I'm intimidated by? Why not be someone that is the person for you? That if you lose them, that they're gone. That has a physical reaction. That's the most to lose as the character when it comes to Susan, right? But then on the other end of the spectrum, you can have a big stake with your family. You've missed your family and you've realized that being an adult is too hard, and beforehand you hated your family, you hated your dad because they always told you what to do, and all you wanted to be an adult and do your own thing. And now that you're doing that, you're suddenly realizing that if I don't make a decision in an hour, I'm going to be stuck as an adult forever, and I'm never going to see my family. So then it gives you this stake, this sense of urgency that you have to make a decision. You have to decide what to do. Automatically you have a reaction to that. So it's about finding things like that elicit a reaction within the character, just going to an extreme. It doesn't matter if it's not super logical, like it's fine. No one's ever going to see that. But if it gets you to the place that you need for your performance, to make it, to have a sense of urgency, to have a sense of loss for the character, then make those choices. Hopefully that answers your question, Jackie. Chisholm, do you have any questions? I haven't seen you in the chat, so hopefully you're out there. Maybe drop us a line, say hi. But if you have any questions about your particular tape, and then just a thing about your tape, Chisholm, that I noticed is is a technical aspect. When you're taping yourself on your cell phone, you want to do landscape, so you want to do it this way, not
my name is
like
Chisholm.
I think they call that
I'm
portrait
18,
mode. So don't do it portrait mode, because you have those big bars on the side. And if I'm watching on my laptop, you're very small in the middle of my laptop. Rather, if you do landscape, right, Amir? Is landscape? Yeah. Rather, if you do landscape, then you're bigger on the screen, and I can literally see more of your eyes, which is better for the viewer. Yeah. So let's move on to the next audition here. It's going to be Cole's.
Do you want to commence?
Sure.
down. Want a drink?
You got soda?
What were you like when you were younger?
Oh, well, I wasn't much different.
I believe that about you. I've been thinking about you a lot, actually. It's crazy. In my car, laying in bed. I've just never gone out with someone like you. I mean, with all the other men, there was so much to hide, and I feel like I can't tell you anything.
Susan, Susan, I think there's something I should tell you.
What? You want the light on? Josh, what's wrong? What is it?
I didn't want to tell you something because I didn't think you were going to believe me, and even if you believed me, I didn't think you were going to like me anymore, so...
Oh, honey, come here. You can tell me anything.
Susan, I'm not what you think I am.
What do you mean?
Before I met you, I was in Little League. I was in Little League and I rode my bike to school and I went and played with my friends and I hung out with them and
Josh, well, what are you trying to say?
I want to go home. I miss my family. Susan, I want to go home.
Oh my god. You're married.
No.
I knew this.
What? No, I'm not married. Susan, I'm not married.
That was something to what? You're not?
No. I'm a child.
What?
I'm a child, Susan, and I'm not ready for all this.
Oh, that's fine. That's great.
See, what happened was I...
No, I understand. I'm not ready to make a commitment either.
No.
I'm not ready to accept the responsibility either.
No, you don't understand. I mean, I'm 13 years old.
Oh, and who isn't? You think that it isn't a frightened kid inside me too, or what?
No. I mean, I really am 13. No, I went to bed. I went to bed one night and I was a kid. And then when I woke up the next morning, I was a grown-up.
Alright. Right. And just yesterday, I was a schoolgirl with pigtails.
No.
Why are you doing this, Josh?
Look, there was this carnival in New Jersey.
Please.
And I wished on this machine. It was called the Zoltan machine.
Oh, stop it.
Look, it was called the Zoltan machine, and it had this body and a head, and it looked just like the devil, and you put a quarter in the devil's mouth, and you make a wish, and I did. So, I wish to be big. See, that's what I've been trying to tell you. I changed into a grown-up, but I'm really just a kid.
Fine, Josh. You're a kid. Look, I really don't know what it is you're trying to tell me, but we have a very big presentation to get through tomorrow. So, I'm gonna get some sleep.
Hi, I'm Cole Breckle.
Cool. Thank you very much for sending in your tape. Again, you're doing great work, and you're involved in everything that we're doing. So thank you for being so present with all this. It's awesome to watch. I felt there was a huge improvement from the first audition to this one, so I'm really happy with that. The thing that I want to talk about with you is we talked a little bit about stakes as well. You sent me an email, and hopefully I saw that my talk earlier helped you a little bit about that and clarifying it. But I think we can also learn to transfer the stakes, the stake in. I'm laughing at your note. The stakes into your body too, right? We can have a physical reaction to this stuff, just because sometimes it's nice to feel that sense of anxiety within your body, right? Because we often do as people. We often feel anxious. So I would encourage you and encourage a lot of you to try exercises to try to find that sense of anxiety or wherever that character is at the very beginning of the scene in your body. Just go through different exercises and pay attention to yourself when you're feeling these ways, when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling mad in your life, and just do like a bit of a self-assessment and seeing, what's physically happening with my body in these moments. How does my body react to this? Or how does my body know when I'm sad? Are the things that I do with my hands? Like are there little reactions? Do I get a feeling in my throat when I'm sad? There's ways that our body harbor emotion. So I want to encourage you to discover within yourself what that is for each of you, and how your body translates that. Because with these types of scenes where you have an interesting point of view or an interesting sense of anxiety off the top, it's good to get your body into that place because it's going to help you with the scene. It's going to carry you into it. And again, I know I talk a lot about this, but I think it's a matter of really being clear with yourself about what those moments before are. So what led you to this? What led you to the feeling where you're anxious and you're nervous about what's going on, right? I think we can all really clarify that for ourselves and really paint the picture and write the scene, the scene that happened, 2 pages before this, that led us to this moment. I think it's going to help you a lot when it comes to your auditions. And again, maybe a suggestion for you, Cole, and one for all of you, is maybe try improving the scene. Try improving that couple pages that you think took place before the scene begins to give you a lead-in, so we feel like we're stepping into this world, and it's not just suddenly a scene taking place. Not to say that you did that, but it's just a note for everybody. I think you did a good job at not falling into the trap of the scene, meaning like not playing the 13-year-old boy. You kind of just had this sense of innocence about you, which was really nice. Because remember, the interesting thing is, yes, he's a 13-year-old boy, but he's a 13-year-old boy trying to be a man. So it's really not about playing a 13, it's about trying to be a man, right? And then imploding because you can't do it. And if we raise the stakes to the example that I used before with the machine and have it being a time limit and a ticking clock for when you can make this decision to go back, notice how those lines with your parents would change for all of you. It would have more weight, it would have more meaning. You suddenly would realize maybe in that moment that, like, fuck, I'm never gonna see my mom and dad again. And I've been so mean to them. I've been so mean because they wanted me to clean my room, and they wanted me, and they treated me like a kid, and they didn't make me feel like an adult. It becomes a sad moment for him. It has life to it, right? And suddenly I see your parents. I can see them, and then you can see them. So if we make those really bold choices, it ties those things together, and it makes our auditions have weight and have emotional value to them. Because again, I'm telling you guys, when I'm watching these auditions, and it's the same for casting directors, they watch tons and tons of auditions of the same scene. It's the ones that have made those really bold choices that I've suddenly am perked and interested again. Because it's not hard to like suddenly fall into this place where you're just watching and you're like, okay, this and this and this, and it's the same choices. So I want to encourage you guys, just go far with your choices, right? And go to the place where people have to pull you back. Like, why not? Especially in this environment, because there's nothing to lose. So with this next audition that we're going to do, go far, make bold ass choices, right? And let it be over the top. Do bad acting, do over the top acting. Let's just go to that place when we can pull it back, right? But I want to encourage you just to really go to that place because I think you're going to discover some really interesting some really interesting moments for your characters, and it's gonna maybe click for you in terms of when I'm talking about all the steak stuff. And not the steak that you eat, Cola. Steaks of the character. Okay, we're gonna jump on to the next tape. We're gonna go to Victoria.
Sure.
Sit down. Want a drink?
You got soda?
Sure. What were you like when you were younger?
Oh, I wasn't much different.
I believe that about you. I've been thinking about you a lot. It's crazy. In my car, laying in bed. I just never hang out with someone like you. All the other men, there's a lot to hide. I feel I can tell you anything.
Susan, there's something I think I should tell you.
What? You want the light on? Josh! What's wrong? What is it?
I haven't told you something because I didn't think you were going to believe me. Even if you did believe me, I didn't think you were going to like me anymore, so...
Oh, honey, come here. You can't tell me anything. What?
Susan, I'm not what you think I am.
What do you mean?
Before I met you, I was in Little League. I was in Little League and I rode my bike to school and I played with my friends and hung out with them.
Josh, what are you trying to tell me?
I want to go home. I miss my family, Susan. I want to go home.
Oh my God, you're married?
No.
I knew this was too good to be true.
Married.
I knew
Susan,
there had to be something.
I'm not married.
You're not.
No. I'm a child.
What?
I'm a child, Susan. I'm not ready for all of this.
Oh, that's great. That's fine. That's just great.
You see what happened.
No, I understand. I'm not ready to make a commitment.
Oh, no. No.
I'm not ready to accept the responsibility either.
No, you don't understand. I mean, I'm 13 years old.
And who isn't? You think there isn't a friend and kin inside me too?
No, I mean, I really am 13. I went to bed. See, I went to bed one night and I was a kid. And when I woke up the next morning, I was a grown-up.
All right. And I'm just a schoolgirl with pigtails. Why are you doing this, Josh?
There was this carnival in New Jersey.
Please.
I made a wish on a machine. It was called the Zoltan machine.
Oh, stop it.
It was called the Zoltan machine. It had this body and head and looked just like a devil. And you put a quarter in the devil's mouth, you make a wish, and I did. So I made a wish to be big. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is that I changed into a grown-up. But I'm really just a kid.
Fine, Josh. You're just a kid. I really don't know what is it you're trying to tell me. But we have a very big presentation to get through tomorrow. So I'm gonna get some sleep. Hello. My height is 5'6".
Hey, Victoria. Thank you very much for sending in your tape. I was really glad to see your and Tristan's auditions this time. Thank you for putting the energy in and doing that. Looked great. You guys have a good setup, lighting, everything is well shot. So there's two things I want to talk about here. First off, I'm so stoked that you're basically doing what I said, which is make really bold choices and and really push the stakes, right? Now, which is awesome. So you've gone all the way to the end, like I was talking about. So now let's reel you back a little bit, right? So great, you made a really intense choice. I think you also can raise the stakes, meaning like why she wants to be, why she needs to be so sexual with this character. So there needs to be it's an interesting choice, but there needs to be a why behind that, right? There has to be a reason why she's acting this way. Is that, and this is your choice as the actress, is it because of this history of the character where, no guys ever liked her and she thinks this is the only way that men respond to her, right? So you have to create some sort of history for that to be driven through character, why you're doing those things. Now, if you've made that really bold choice, which is interesting, right? It's different, but then you have to be true to the scenario, meaning that when he rejects you and he talks about how he's maybe married, you're no longer all open and out there with him. You're gonna cover yourself up. Suddenly it feels gross. Suddenly it feels like this guy's taking advantage of you, right? Which is funny because you're the one that's taking advantage of him because he's 13, right? Then you're playing into the comedy of it, which is great. But you have to stay true to it, right? So if you're gonna make that really intense choice that she's gonna act that way, there's gotta be a why, first of all. And then you also have to be true to the scenario, right? So like I said, you have to react when he turns you down or you think he's married. You can no longer be out there that way. You have to cover yourself up. So that's something that I'd be interested to know is that you're gonna have to discover the why, right? The why is she doing this way, and it has to be driven through story and through character. And a thing that I want to talk about too is as an audience, we're gonna react to this character because of the connection, right? Because again, like I said in your notes, with her, the reason that it's almost like a tragedy because she's fallen in love with someone that she can never be with. It's like a Shakespearean tragedy. She's an adult and she's been searching for the man of her dreams her whole life, and she's finally found him, right? And maybe her tactic of getting him is the one you've made, right? But the tragedy of the scene is that he's actually 13 and she can never be with him, right? So we're gonna connect to that thing. That's the thing that's gonna draw us in, that's gonna make us feel for you as a character because we're rooting for both of you in the scene. There's no bad guy, there's no good guy in this scene. We want them to be together, but there's a separation that they're never gonna be together, and only the audience, and Josh knows that, right? So you're kind of out of the loop. So if you really play into that desire that this is the man of your dreams and you love him and then you think about him all the time and like you can't help yourself, but like he's always on your mind, the more that you dive into the stakes of him and the fact that he's the man and you've been waiting for this guy and you've gone through dozens of others and they've all been jerks and this is the one that you've told your mom about and you're dreaming about, the more we're gonna feel for you, as a character. And it's gonna play better with the scene and it's gonna make your performance even stronger. If you have a question about that, feel free to drop a line in here. Yeah, awesome. You tried something different that would be challenging for yourself. That's great. I'm glad that you did that, right? Now, it's just a matter of making sure that choice is then driven by a backstory that's, that helps the scene, that moves the scene forward, right? Just reading Victoria mentions here, she says, I mentioned in her notes about the props that they were using. And yes, the props were mentioned in the script. So do I need to use them for the self-tape? I think you have to be careful with that, right? Because it's not a scene, as a viewer, I don't care about props. We have a whole prop department on set that's gonna get you the right props and to make sure you have the bottle of wine and this and that, right? It's not about those things. It's about the connection to the character. Again, that's why I'm here watching your scenes. if I'm a casting director, because I want to make sure you can interpret the character. I don't care that you have props or you're able to create props. It doesn't matter unless, like I said before, it services the scene, right? And services your performance in the scene. Otherwise, it becomes a scene about you having really cool props, and that's not going to get you a role, right? So always focus on the character first, right? And if you don't need to use the prop, I wouldn't use it, because it's one other thing for me to be focusing other than your performance. So let's move on to the next tape. Next one's going to be from Kelsey.
Do you want to come in?
Sure.
Sit down. Do you want a drink?
You got soda?
What were you like when you were younger?
Well, I wasn't much different.
I believe that about you. I've been thinking a lot about you lately. It's crazy. In the car, laying in bed. Just never gone out with someone like you before. With all the other men, there's just so much to hide. And I feel like I could tell you anything.
Susan, there's something I think I should tell you.
What? You want the light on? Josh, what's wrong? What is it?
I haven't told you something because I didn't think you were going to believe me. And even if you did believe me, I didn't think you were going to like me anymore. So...
Honey, come here. You can tell me anything.
Susan, I'm not what you think I am.
What do you mean?
Before I met you, I was in Little League. I was in the Little League and I rode my bike to school and I played with my friends and hung out with them and...
Josh, what are you talking about?
I want to go home. I miss my family, Susan. I want to go home.
Oh my God, you're married.
No.
I knew this was too good to be true. I knew there had to be something.
No, I'm not married, Susan. I'm not married.
You're not?
No, I'm a child.
What?
I'm a child, Susan, and I'm not ready for all of this.
It's fine. That is just great.
Well, you see what happened.
No, I understand. I'm not ready to make a commitment.
Oh, no.
No, I'm not ready to accept the responsibility either. It's fine.
No, you don't understand. I mean, I'm 13 years old.
And who isn't? You don't think there's a frightened kid trapped inside me too?
No, I mean, I really am 13. I went to bed. See, I went to bed one night and I was a kid. And when I woke up the next morning, I was a grown-up.
Right. And just yesterday, I was a schoolgirl wearing pigtails. Why are you doing this, Josh?
There was this carnival in New Jersey.
Please.
I made a wish on a machine. It was called the Zoltan.
Stop it.
It's called the Zoltan machine. It had this body and head and it looked just like a devil. And you put a quarter in the devil's mouth and you make a wish. And I did. So I made a wish to be big. And that's what I'm trying to tell you, is that I changed into a grown-up, but I really am just a kid.
Fine, Josh. You're a kid. Look, I don't really know what you're trying to tell me, but we have a big presentation to get through tomorrow, so I'm gonna get some sleep.
Kelsey, fantastic work. You're always doing really good work, so it's always a pleasure to watch. This was a hard one for me to even give notes for because you did so many things that were so good. It was a fantastic tape. So be really proud of yourself for that. The thing that I do want to talk about with you is what's interesting is that I think you've done so good of a job at covering up as the character in the scene. It almost comes across cold at the very end. So it's kind of opposite to what I've been saying to a lot of people. I actually want you to be affected more and don't cover as much. So it would, a large part of the scene, it's great and it works perfectly. I think at the very end of the scene, just to give it another element and another dynamic to the scene, because this is an audition and I think we want to try to show as many things as possible in scenes and find as many different parts of this person in the scene as possible. So I would have liked for you to really uncover her backstory about why this man matters so much to her. And then, when he's talking about how he basically doesn't want to be with you and he's coming up with this bullshit excuse of this Zoltan machine and this stupid story, all it is to you is an excuse for him not to want to be with you here, physically for whatever reason. Maybe he's not attracted to you. Maybe this character, you could then surmise that this character has self-esteem issues. Like, you can come up with those choices so that internally at the end of the scene when she's saying, okay, I'll see you, we have a big presentation tomorrow, we see a sense of hurt. We see a sense of disappointment of how she was affected by Josh in this scene, and how it didn't go the way she wanted to go. So maybe you could use that technique that I talked about before, which is having a very clear visual in her mind of how this night was going to go. She's going to bring this guy up here. It was going to be perfect. There's candles, and you guys are going to be together finally. But then he turns you down, and you can make decisions in her backstory for why she thinks that is. Because of this, because of this, because of this, because of her experiences in the past. So I think for you, because the tape was so good, I think just focus on those elements, and it's just going to take it one step further. But you did a wicked job, and it was a pleasure to watch. So if anybody has any other questions about that, drop me a line here, and I can get to it. We're going to move on quickly to, just because we're coming to the end here, we're going to move on to Sydney's tape, and I want to do some talking at the end. So Sydney, your tape is up next.
Do you want to come in?
Sure.
Sit down. Want a drink?
You got soda?
What were you like when you were younger?
Oh, well, I wasn't much different.
I can believe that about you. I've been thinking about you a lot. It's crazy. In the car, when I'm laying in bed. I've just never gone out with someone like you. Like with all the other men, there's always something to hide. But I feel like I can tell you anything.
Susan, there's something I think I should tell you.
What? Do you want me to turn the light on? Josh, what is it? What's wrong?
I haven't told you something because I didn't think you were going to believe me. And even if you did believe me, I didn't think you were going to like me anymore. So...
Honey, come here. You can tell me anything. What?
Susan, I'm not what you think I am.
What do you mean?
Before I met you, I was in Little League. I was in Little League and I rode my bike to school and I played with my friends and hung out with them. And
Josh, what are you talking about?
I want to go home. I miss my family. Susan, I want to go home.
Oh my God, you're married.
No,
God,
I'm
knew
not
that this was
married.
too good to be true. I knew that
Susan,
there had to be something.
I'm not married.
You're not?
No, I'm a child.
What?
I'm a child, Susan, and I'm not ready for all of this.
That's fine. That's great.
Well, you see what
No,
happened.
I understand. I'm not ready for the commitment.
Oh, no.
And I'm not ready to accept the responsibility.
No, you don't understand. I mean, I'm 13 years old.
Who isn't? You think there isn't a frightened kid inside me too?
No, I mean, I really am 13. I went to bed. See, I went to bed one night when I was a kid, and when I woke up the next morning, I was a grown-up.
Yeah, and just yesterday, I was a schoolgirl with pigtails. Why are you doing this, Josh?
There was this carnival in New Jersey.
Please.
I made a wish on a Zoltan machine.
Stop it.
It was called a Zoltan machine. Oh, it had this body and head and looked just like a devil. You put a quarter in its mouth and made a wish. And I did. So I made a wish to be big. That's what I'm trying to tell you is what I changed into a grown-up, but I'm really just a kid.
Fine, Josh. You're a kid. Look, I don't really know what you're trying to tell me, but we have a very big presentation to get through tomorrow, so I'm gonna get some sleep. Sydney Cornell, 5'2", and I represent.
Sydney, it was great watching your tape. I loved your opening card. It was really unique with the white. I think it looked really good. So I would keep doing that. That's a cool choice. Thank you for taking my note, at least I think you are, from the last class about trying different physicality. I think it came across really nice, and I think just keep going with that and playing with it and going further, right? I think because you have a history in cheerleading and maybe dance, I'm not sure, I think you have the ability to really do that and to really get into the physicality of characters. Like, you have an insight that a lot of people don't, or at least a bigger insight. So I just want to push you to keep going further with that. The thing that I want to talk about here is, again, my note for you, again, this comes back to stakes. Like, at the very beginning of your audition, I think you did an awesome job. I could really see, your love for this guy and the fact that you're dreaming about him. And I think you created really interesting and specific moments of when you're recalling thinking about him, which read really nicely. And I think I just want to encourage you to go further in terms of, again, how much he means to you. Because then when you react to the fact that he's married, it can be a big reaction. It can be like a world-shattering thing, because maybe you thought of getting married to this guy eventually. Like, you're that far in your imagination with him, so that when you react, it shatters your world, and we get to see that. And then we get to see you as the character try to struggle to keep yourself maintained and composed, and it's interesting because you're just crushed, right? So if you make a really bold choice where it allows you to go from this up high, you're on the moon, dreaming about this guy that you're about to be with, and then suddenly you're rock bottom, that's a big difference, and that's fascinating to watch as this character who is composed and who's friendly and who's all these things tries to keep her composure, right? Maybe she feels like screaming at her, punching him, or breaking down, like whatever's going on internally. It's interesting if we made that really big, bold, high choice. So I just want to encourage you to go further, because your tape was great, and it would have been even better if you had made a bigger choice, so I could see a bigger, see you being affected even more, because I think you definitely have the capability to do it. So I just want to encourage you to go further with those things. And just a note as well for a lot of people, watch our Canadianisms. We have a lot of abouts and abouts, these things, right? And people will snag you on that, for sure, especially if you're auditioning in Vancouver, because we're auditioning for a lot of American stuff, so you really got to work on just speaking with more of an American accent, at least when you're doing your auditions. I try my best with that, and I definitely slip sometimes, but I think you just want to always remind yourself, we want to stay away from abouts and abouts and those things, because they are noticeable, and that will flag somebody, especially if they're watching your tape in LA. They'll laugh at you. A boot, like, what's a boot? So just be careful with that. So Sydney definitely trying to hide it, but maybe I went too far for sure. Yeah, no, I don't think, not that the fact that you're trying to hide it is great, and I think that read. I just think you can, like, the realization that he's potentially married can be world-rocking even more. Maybe she's not that good at hiding that particular part of it because he matters so much to her, right? Imagine you're in love with this guy and you're about to have sex with him, or at least you think you are, and he tells you he's married. That's pretty crushing, right? So bring it to that extreme, and then do your best as a character to hide it, but bring it to that extreme so that at least we get to see that, right? For a glimpse, at the very least, right? Yeah, that's all. Franny, that's awesome. Yeah, just keep doing as much as you can, Franny. That's great. As many creative things as we can do, it's awesome. But hopefully that makes sense to you, Cindy. Again, you did a great tape, so not knocking it at all. I think you did awesome. I just think you can, and all of us can, and you have the capacity to go further with it. So I'd like to just keep encouraging all of us to do that. Then also, a note that I'm going to give to Alona when we hit her tape is, and all of us really, it's not just you two, But when we have questions, make sure we're asking questions. There's a lot of when Josh is starting to kind of retreat into his head, I think you say like, well, Josh, what's wrong? Or you say something along the lines of that, but you're not actually asking the question. You're just blowing past it. You're not waiting for a response. You're not really asking for a response. It's just a line, right? It kind of comes across as a line. So make sure you're reading the concern on the person's face, and you want to know what's wrong. Like, what did I do? Did I say something wrong? Did I make you uncomfortable? Like, you really want to know, because he matters to you. How he feels matters to you. Okay, we'll move on. We'll move on to Amy's tape.
You want to come in?
Sure.
Sit down. Want a drink?
You got soda?
What were you like when you were younger?
Oh, well, I wasn't much different.
I believe that about you. I've been thinking about you a lot. It's crazy. In my car, laying in bed, I've just never met someone like you. I mean, with all the other men, there was just so much to hide. I feel like I can tell you anything.
Susan, there's something I think I should tell you.
What? You want the light on? Josh, what's wrong? What is it?
I haven't told you something because I didn't think you were going to believe me. And even if you did believe me, I didn't think you were going to like me anymore, so...
Oh, honey, come here. You can tell me anything. What?
Susan, I'm not what you think I am.
What do you mean?
Before I met you, I was in Little League. And I rode my bike to school, and I played with my friends, and hung out with them.
Josh,
And
what are you talking about?
I want to go home. I miss my family, Susan. I want to go home.
Oh my God. You're married.
No.
I knew this was too good to be true.
No,
I knew there had to be something.
Susan, I'm not married.
You're not?
No, I'm a child.
What?
I'm a child, Susan. And I'm not ready for all of this.
Oh, that's fine. That's just great.
Well, you see, what happened...
No, I understand. I'm not ready to make a commitment.
Oh, no.
I'm not ready to take responsibility either.
No, you don't understand. I mean, I'm 13 years old.
And who isn't? You think there isn't a friend kid inside me too?
No, I mean, I really am 13. I went to bed. See, I went to bed one night, and I was a kid. And when I woke up the next morning, I was a grown-up.
Oh, right. And yesterday, I was a schoolgirl with pigtails. Why are you doing this, Josh?
There was this carnival in New Jersey.
Please.
I made a wish on a machine. It was called the Zoltan machine.
Oh, stop it.
It was called the Zoltan machine. It had this body and head and looked just like a devil. And you put a quarter in the devil's mouth, you make a wish, and I did. So I made a wish to be big. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is that I changed into a grown-up, but I'm really just a kid.
Fine, Josh. You're a kid. Look, I don't know what it is that you're trying to tell me, but we have a very big presentation to get through tomorrow. So I'm gonna get some sleep.
So what I wanted to talk about was objective for you, Amy. I just think we can clarify exactly what that is, like what she's fighting for and why she's fighting for it. I think if you clarified your objective, Amy, then that scene would change a lot for you. There wouldn't be as much anger towards the end, because I don't think that scene is about being angry. That scene is about her maybe ignoring the realities of the situation. So if we're talking from her perspective, what she sees is a grown adult man who's making excuses for why he does not want to be with her. So because she has such a checkered history with all these other men that she's been with and hasn't been successful for her, she's choosing to ignore the fact that, he doesn't want to be with her, and she keeps trying to make it work. She keeps trying to understand and keeps trying to fix things, right? So I don't think that scene is a lot about anger. It's about her really wanting to be with this guy for blank reason, and your job as the performer is to discover what that reason is, right? The objective, the why. So I think we can find a clear objective for her that will help you fight to be with him. Because if you're just angry in the scene and you're pushing him away, then that scene, it would end. There's no point of you being mad at him and him not being with you, because it's two negatives, right? There's no two negatives push away, right? So someone has to be the one fighting. So I want to encourage you, Amy, is to discover a stronger objective for her. So an objective that she can be fighting for till the very end. Because the way it's written is that she is fighting for him. She is struggling to understand and to rationalize what he's saying. And that's inherent in the text. So your job as the actor is to figure out what the reason is, basically, right? So yeah, I just want to encourage you to dig a little deeper and to discover what that reason is, so you're fighting for that objective to the very end and you're not, pushing him away. Okay? So that's my note for you. Again, you have a really natural kind of charisma to you, so that's going to serve you really well in your performances. And I was really proud of the work you did. You're doing awesome work, and what it looks like was awesome. The way you shot it, all the technical aspects are great. So no notes on that, but just getting back to the objective. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna move on here. Something that I want to talk about here. Got it down. Oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about a little bit about this with Alona's tape, which is our last tape. Is just we have a lot of students, a lot of people English second language, which is great. And I mean, kudos to you guys that you guys are performing in a different language. That's insane. And even if English is your first language, diction is something that we always need to focus on and make sure that we're clear. And if we're not clear, that's a choice. That's the way the character speaks for whatever reason you've come up with. It's a clear choice. Otherwise, diction is just something that's just you're nervous or you haven't warmed up your vocal cords properly. So. Your diction, I don't think was terrible, but as a general note for everybody, we want to focus on diction. Okay. Oh, then something I was thinking about too is, Amy, something you could think about, and all of us we can think about, is sometimes rewriting the scene in our mind to serve the audition. So, meaning this kiss moment. You guys all kind of approach it in different ways. So. We talked about a little bit about this on the Zoom as well, but a thought that I had when I was watching the tapes was that a way to do that maybe, instead of playing a kiss for the Susan character, is perhaps you're wanting to say I love you to him, right? So it still has that same sense of nervousness, that same sense of you're unsure if they're gonna like this or not. Then when he backs away, it gives you that same reaction. So those are kind of things you could think about too, is how can I achieve what's important for the scene, the beat that's important for the scene, but have it play better on camera for my self-tape. So any questions about that? I think, Amy, you understand what I'm saying, which is awesome. And if anybody else has a question about what I just said, I can take that now. And we're gonna move on to Alona's tape, which is our last tape of the night. So we'll go into that, and then if we have a question, we'll come back to it.
Want to come in?
Sure.
Sit down. Want a drink?
You got soda?
Whatever you like. when you were younger?
Oh, well, I wasn't much different.
I can tell that about you. I've been thinking about you a lot. It's crazy. In my car, laying in bed. I've just never gone out with someone like you. I mean, with all the other men, there was always so much to hide, but with you, I feel like I can tell you anything.
Susan, there's something I think I should tell you.
What? You like the light on? What's wrong, Josh? What is it?
I haven't told you something because I didn't think you were gonna believe me. And even if you did believe me, I didn't think you were gonna like me anymore, so...
Oh, honey. Come here. You can tell me anything. What?
Susan, I'm not what you think I am.
What do you mean?
Before I met you, I was in a little league. I was in a little league and I rode my bike to school and I played with my friends and hung out with them and...
Josh, what are you talking about?
I want to go home. I miss my family, Susan. I want to go home.
Oh my God. You're married.
No.
I knew there must be something.
No, I'm not
I
married,
was too
Susan.
easy-
I'm not married.
You're not?
No. I'm a child.
What?
I'm a child, Susan. And I'm not ready for all this.
That's fine. That is great.
Well, you see,
No,
what
I
happened...
understand. I'm not ready to make a commitment.
No. Oh, no.
I'm not ready to take this responsibility either.
No. You don't understand. I mean, I'm 13 years old.
Well, and who isn't? You think there isn't a frightened kid inside me too?
No. I mean, I really am 13. I went to bed, see? I went to bed one night, and I was a kid. And when I woke up the next morning, I was a grown-up.
Right. And just yesterday I was a schoolgirl with pigtails. Why are you doing this, Josh?
There was this carnival in New Jersey.
Please.
I made a wish on a machine. It was called a Zoltan machine.
Oh, stop it.
It was called the Zoltan machine. It had this body and head and looked just like a devil. And you put a quarter in a devil's mouth. You make a wish. And I did so. I made a wish to be big. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Is that I changed it to a grown-up. But I'm really just a kid.
Fine, Josh. You are a kid. Look, I don't really know what you're trying to tell me, but we got an important presentation to go through tomorrow, so if you don't mind, I'll go to sleep.
Alona, you did a wicked audition. I was so impressed with the work that you did. I think you took the notes from the previous class and you really applied them to this scene. So I was so impressed with the work you did. It was charming. It was sad. It kind of had all the beats. So really great job, honestly. The thing I wanted to encourage you is, don't rush the moments. I think you had a few moments in there that you blew past. So I would encourage you to live them. So as an example, you ask questions to the Josh character, like, what's wrong? What is it? And you kind of blew past those things. So, it's fine to, now I just want to say, it's not about like speaking fast, but you're not actually asking him, like you're not checking in with him. It's more that aspect that's missing. It's fine if you say them fast, what's wrong, what is it? But you're not actually looking at him for an answer. You're just saying them and moving past. So I want to encourage you to live those moments and really try to figure out what's going on, like what's wrong with them, right? Like, why is he, like, I think I said this before, but why is he so nervous? Why is he so uptight? Like, everything's going right. Isn't like, you're doing the right thing. You can decide whatever those reasons are, but I just don't want you to blow past the moments because they're nice. And like, you've created such a really cool and sweet and charming character that we're rooting for. I want to see those things. So don't just go past them. I think you did a great job with having a really strong objective and stakes. I think your tape is a good example of having really strong stakes and having him matter a lot to you without having to be loud or aggressive. Like I think sometimes people get those confused where for extreme stakes we have to be extremely loud or extremely animated. That's not what it means. It just means that this person and what you want from this person and the potential of losing this person, it means a lot to you as a character. So you just have to put that emphasis. And I think you did a really good job at that. So I was really impressed. And the only other thing I'm going to say is just the diction. Just be careful with your diction because sometimes you swallow words, which I'm very guilty of, and I've worked really hard at not doing that either. But I just want to remind you to pay attention to that aspect so we can hear what you're saying because the acting is great, so we want to hear it. If there's any questions about that, let me know. But what I want to do right now is I want to move on to an audition tape that I did for a show a couple years ago. The show is airing or did air already, so it's nothing recent. But this is kind of an example for Nicholas and for all of us, just because this is an example of a tape that I think I did the wrong thing on. This isn't something that I would necessarily do again. I made choices because I wanted to be different. I wanted my tape to be different, but they were not character driven. No, they did not help the story. In fact, when I'm watching it with you guys, I probably will realize, the reasons why I didn't get the job, right? Because I'm doing stuff because I just want to do stuff and be bold for the sake of being bold, right? But it got nothing to do with the story or with the character. So it affected me in a negative way. So I want to show you this tape as an example of how you can do stuff that's different and be creative with your tapes. But don't follow my lead here and do things and do them in a way that help tell the story better, because that's our job as performers, is to tell the story. That's why they're going to hire you. They're not going to hire you or hire me, so we can edit a really interesting tape together or do something silly. Like, that's not our job, right? Our job in the profession is to tell the story. So Amir's going to pop the tape on and we're going to watch it through, and then we'll chat a little bit about that. And I'm going to show you one other tape before we wrap up today. My name is Dakota Daulby, and I'm A-Train. A-Train.
A-Train, your girlfriend's here. She's pissed. She wants to know why you ran through her the other night. I mean, she just went to pieces.
Hey, I'm not the one who threw a fucking Volvo at that carjacker and didn't realize there's a fucking kid in the backseat.
Screw you, man. That sucked. I have to go fucking cry on Diane Sawyer.
Boy, I wonder what that feels like, asshole.
Oh, look, she wants to make up.
Sorry, baby. When I get inside a girl, I get inside a girl.
Okay, you ready? Here we go.
Oh, here comes the A-Train! Hey there, Colby. How you feeling, pal? Brought you this.
Thanks. I'm sorry, I asked for translucent?
Translucent is on a secret undercover mission. Shh. But you got the A-Train, pal.
But my wish was to meet translucent. That was my only wish. He's my hero.
Well, maybe you can swing by next week or... Listen, maybe I can't turn invisible, but I'm still the fastest man in the world. I can outrun anybody or anything. That's something. isn't it? So, you get better, and maybe I'll teach you to run as fast as me.
Yeah? You'll teach me to outrun cancer?
Does your girlfriend complain that you're too slow? Well, mine don't. It's because I use A-train condoms. Now it's your turn to fuck like a super. I gotta save my energy.
Sorry.
Maybe.
Got carried away. You, want me to do the thing? It relaxes you, might help clear your mind before the race.
Maybe. Yeah, okay. Faster. Slower. No, stop. It's tickling.
What's wrong?
Blue bolt. He's right on my heels. And what if I lose?
It's just another race.
No, it's not. This fucking kid is the real deal. No one wants the second fastest man in the 7. You know what Stillwell said to me? If I lose, I'm out. Fucking out. All these kids coming up. I don't know if I can handle it anymore.
Shh, don't be afraid. We'll see.
The V. Where'd you put it?
Are you sure? You lose control. Remember the little street that you ran through? That was the V. You're much sharper.
No, I need it. I can't take the chance.
Honey, I'll still love you even if you lose. I want you to know that. Did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard. But how is that helping me right now? You're talking about if I lose. Okay, I'm gonna win this thing. I don't want to end up being some washed out B squatter.
Like me?
No. Baby, I'm sorry. Sorry. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I just came out.
You meant it.
Oh, Jesus. Baby, I can't do this right now. Okay, just give me the V and I'll come back here after the race.
What are you talking about?
I've been meaning to tell you.
Are you fucking kidding me? For weeks, I've been getting my hair done, threading my eyebrows, waxing my body like a plucked fucking chicken, so we could finally stand up there in front of the world as a couple. It was all cleared with Stillwell and everything. You did fucking clear it with Stillwell.
Okay, I tried. I really did. She said no. And I guess I just kept hoping that she'd change her mind. You know her. All she cares about is the image. Baby, hey, baby. We'll have our chance. I promise. But first, I gotta get my leverage back. Look, that's why I gotta win this thing. I gotta win it for us. My name is Dakota Daulby. I'm 5'10". My agent info's right there. Okay, so I know that's a lot. I haven't watched that in a while. Oh God. Yeah. So I think there's some funny things in there, but the problem is it's that a lot of the things that I was doing was I was playing for the comedy. Like I was trying to be bold, like I said, for bold's sake, right? I wasn't focused so much on the story and what he wanted and actually what he was dealing with. So I think a lot of that stuff from an exterior point of view actually did the opposite for me and didn't help me, right? It actually hurt me. So I just wanted to show that as an example because I think we sometimes get this idea that, no one's responding and it's just like, well, I got to do something bold to just like get a response. And I think, if I'm being honest, I think that was the reason, is because I was in a place where I just was struggling. I wasn't getting any response, like no one seemed to care. So I was like, F it, I'm just going to do something that's crazy and maybe someone will say something, which they didn't. But again, I think what I've learned from then into now is to focus on character, and focus on understanding why he does what he does and what he's fighting for, and make that my effort rather than putting effort into all this other stuff that doesn't tell a story. Now, with that said, I think there's elements of that tape, like Nicola, you could use, you could incorporate, right? Like you did in yours, that tell a story, that help things, right? But I think that's an example of going too far. So I'm going to show you one other tape. It's quite long too, so we may not show the whole thing, but maybe we'll see. This is an audition for a show called Aftermath that was out a couple years ago. That's like a post-apocalyptic show. So I filmed it with some friends like a little movie, like I made a short film. And it did help me because I did focus on character, and the way I filmed it did help tell the story because of the nature of the story, right? It made it interesting. And it helped me as an actor because it's a post-apocalyptic world where everything's, falling apart and things like that. And I felt if I did that in my room, I just couldn't imagine it. I would have a hard time placing myself in that scenario, and it would feel fake. So I went and shot it in a forest to make it feel real for me. So I didn't get this job, but I was me and another person for the job, and he's the one that got it. Now, I can probably guarantee you that he got it, A, because of the look, and also B, because probably focused a little more on character and was better at that than what I was doing. But this is an example to show you how you can make bold choices that inform story and inform character, and it can be beneficial. So we'll go ahead and play that again. This is from a show called Aftermath.
Something really wrong with Simon.
How's it getting me?
Have another look.
He looks fine.
He threw the ball at me like he was trying to kill me. He just tackled me for no reason. He ate a sandwich covered in blood.
Okay. Seems a little alarming.
He's not there sometimes when I talk to him. It's like he's gone. Someone else is there.
I don't know, man.
He's always hungry, too. The guys that attacked us, they were skinwalkers.
Look, man. Your sister was taken by a skinwalker. And you saw one of them kill a woman today. It makes sense that you think they're everywhere.
What else could it be? You gonna help me or what? Let's go.
Simon!
Don't move. I know what you are.
Yeah? No one looks. I can see things you can't. Come here.
I won't let you hurt my family. It's the last chance.
I know where you are, too.
Show yourself! Show yourself! It was in there. If you heard, you'd know. He charged me. His voice was totally different. It's the skinwalkers. It's gonna kill us all.
He has schizophrenia. He ran out of his meds. He wasn't possessed.
Okay, so that's the other tape. Again, I didn't get this job, so I think there's elements to the actual work itself that can be improved on. But I think that's a good example. That's a good example of how you can look at an audition in a different way, and that can help you get you further in the casting process by doing something that's unique and different, but also helping tell the story for the person that's watching it, right? So that's something to think about. I mean, like I said, I'm of the thought that if you want to try both things, go for it, right? But as long as they're character driven, which is something that I'm learning and something that we're all learning as we go along. So focus on those elements first. Then if you have an interesting way of telling the story that helps the character, like the aftermath tape, or maybe elements of the one I showed you before, then I think you should try those things. I think you should have the confidence to do that. But make sure the work is solid first and foremost. So that concludes, I guess, the lesson portion of this. I want to talk about just a few things. So up next, so we're going to have what we're calling an audition tournament. So what the idea is that each of you guys are going to find your own material to audition with next. It's going to be a self-tape again. You're going to find your own piece of material. It's no monologues, okay? So it has to be a scene with a person, at least one other character or two. I would probably limit it so just, so you don't have so many things going on. I would probably find one with one other person or two other people at max, just to help you guys. But no monologues. It can be from a play or a film. It has to be, it can be no longer than 4 pages. Okay, so again, no monologues, no longer than 4 pages. And it's going to be due April 25th by 8 p.m. April 25th by 8 p.m. Okay, and the acting department is going to be judging it. The winner, we're just doing, so this is just a fun thing, guys. It's not a, yeah, it can be from a TV show too, yes, Crystal. I don't want you guys to stress about this for all of us. It's about giving you guys a chance to do another tape and get better at it and applying the different things that we've talked about here in the last classes. So don't make this into something that's super stressful. There's going to be one person who gives us the most interesting tape that we're going to give like a $50 food gift card to. We're going to send you guys some money to get some groceries just for fun. So it's going to be your first paid acting gig, which would be awesome. Take a picture of it. But again, this is for fun. This is just something for you guys to stay busy with. We're going to be doing other types of competitions coming up. So, we'll have more of these types of things going on, but this will be kind of the tournament, self-tape tournament for the lessons that I've been teaching with you guys to kind of conclude it. Now, just a note, so my Zoom, which typically would be this Thursday, we're going to move it to the week following because I want to discuss this lesson, then also the audition that you guys will be sending in on the weekend. So we'll talk about both and kind of finish our whole session together, and I can discuss, any other questions you guys have after doing this last tape. So we're going to move the Zoom to April 29th at 4 p.m. All these dates and things like that were provided to you today in the email. If you haven't got those, contact Anna at newimage.ca, and also I believe it's uploaded in your student files on the Google Drive as well. So you guys should have all of it. Any questions, again, just contact Anna at newimage.ca. And your tapes will be sent in via WeTransfer again to myself, Dakota at newimage.ca, and Anna at newimage.ca. Okay, guys, I'm super stoked to see what you guys do in the last tape. I'm hoping you guys can find material that that you feel the strongest about. That's why I want you to find your own material, so you're finding stuff that you resonate with. I'm super stoked to see the kind of choices you make and try to apply all the things that, that we've been talking about. If you have any specific questions regarding acting, things like that, that you want to have before you do this tape, you can send me an email, that's fine, and I can answer those for you. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you the week following at our Zoom, and I look forward to seeing your tapes. So have a great day. Thank you very much for being here with us, and we will see you later.